Good morning and welcome to CSL Denver, a place, a space, and a face of love. It's a spiritual community teaching ancient wisdom and utilizing universal principles to empower our lives and the lives of others. I'm so glad that you're here today. For those that are here with all of the snow that's on the ground, I mean, we probably got about, I don't know, 8-9 inches at my house. And it was pretty tricky getting here. But it speaks to the lesson of the topic of today, which is lessons in resilience. Now, this month, the theme for the month is divine discomfort. Divine discomfort. And so today we're going to look at this whole idea of lessons in resilience. Lessons in resilience. Now, one thing that we have to set the stage for right off the top is that resilience is probably one of the most powerful tools that we have in our lives. The tool of being resilient. The tool of allowing ourselves to move through the peaks and valleys of life with ease and grace. Now, it's Black History Month, and I want to give honor to that. And I look to that often in terms of some of the resilience that we see in some of the characters who went through that period of history. We could name tons. Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, countless individuals who have shown what it means to be resilient. And it's not just enduring hardships. I think we sometimes cut the lesson short, if you will, if we just look at it as something to enduring hardships. But it's something that makes us wiser, that makes us stronger, that allows us to dig deeper into our faith so that we can begin to live life fully, meaning we take the peaks and the valleys. No one is always on the mountaintop and no one is always in the valley. That's why they say there's peaks and valleys, right? And that's how we move through life, through the peaks and the valleys. Now, one of the things that I'm going to own it for myself, I'm not going to put it on anybody else. I often try to avoid those valleys, though. Just to be honest, I don't like to go in the valley because it's cold down there sometimes and not enough light and all kinds of things are moving around. But I know it is for my highest and best to go through that cycle of life, to understand, and that everyone has their own peaks and valleys. No one escapes this. No one escapes this. And so when I think about it, I look at it in this way. If I could get that first slide, this is something that Nelson Mandela said. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave men and women is not one who does not feel afraid, but one who conquers that fear. That's one of the first lessons of being resilient. Is to conquer the fear, to conquer the thing that keeps us paralyzed often, that keeps us just standing in one place. And I don't know, I cry, scream, start looking for a magic wand. There's all kinds of things we do to move through challenges, to move through resistance. But the best thing is resilience. And if we look around the world today, resilience is needed more than any other time that I know of. Anytime. Now, somebody from another generation might say something different. But for me, I don't know that generation. I've only read about it. So right now, where we have all this activity going on in life. And it's just a peak and valley, right? Let's not get it twisted. Let's not give it more energy than it needs. But it is now the time for us to be resilient and diligent about how we approach life, how we work through the issues that we see every day and begin to gain strength from them, to begin to live life with a smile. Because we can't deny it. How many people have ever tried to deny a problem? I'm willing to bet you that it got worse. It got worse. And I know for me, sometimes it starts calling friends in. It starts bringing 2, 3 more other problems. And so now where I had just one problem to deal with, now I got 3 or 4. But if we can allow ourselves to step into higher consciousness, if we can allow ourselves to go deep in the pits of love, we get this world that helps us manifest life in its fullness, and that's resilience. Now, Coretta Scott King says this in this next slide. My story is a freedom song from within my soul. It is a guide to discovery, a vision of how even the worst pain and heartaches can be channeled into human monuments, impenetrable and everlasting. And we all know Coretta's story. But she was able to look at that and say, I can build monuments for people to look at. I can grow from this. I can be resilient in this life that has given me some valleys and still come out strong and still be loving and still be able to work through my fears. Because when we look at it in that light, those challenges, those problems, those pains become stepping stones and not stumbling blocks. Now, I don't know if you heard the story about the farmer and the donkey. Perfect example of these stepping stones. So the farmer had this donkey, and the donkey fell in the well. And the old farmer looked down and saw the donkey, and he just realized, I'm too old, or I can't deal with trying to get the donkey out. So he tries to just bury the donkey, right? He tries to cover the donkey up. So he takes a shovel and throws the shovel on the donkey's back, and he shuts it off. Throws another one, the donkey shovels it off. And so then his neighbors, they have no idea what he's doing, but they see him shoveling and they know he's old. So they say, well, let's give him a hand. So they all start shoveling down on the donkey, which they don't know is there. But one thing the donkey showed was resilience. Because what did the donkey do? Every time the dirt hit his back, he shook it off and took a step up. Shook it off and took a step up. And the next thing you know, the donkey is walking out of the well. Everybody is shocked, except, well, even the farmer is shocked because he didn't know that was taking place. But everybody who didn't know the donkey was there was even more amazed and shocked. But the donkey knew one thing: resilience. Shake it off. Shake it off. If you shake it off and use it as a stepping stone and not allow it to be a stumbling block, great things can happen. You can save lives. Matter of fact, you might be able to save your own life. So that's how we need to look at this. We need to look at these situations that call for resilience as ways of tapping into our creativity, our intuition, our imagination. Because it has not come to stay. It has come to pass, whatever that challenge is. And so when we can learn these lessons in resilience, now we got something. We got something when we can do that. Now here's another story. This is even better story. Y'all let me know if you heard this one. It's the story of the carrot, the egg, and the coffee beans. Anybody heard that one? Carrot, the eggs, and the coffee beans. So this father was in the kitchen teaching his son a lesson. He was a chef, and he was fixing things up. And he said, well, I'm gonna give you some lessons, and I'm gonna teach you how to cook all at the same time. So he takes a pot of water, and he starts boiling the water, and he drops the carrots in one. He takes another pot, boils the water, drops the egg. He takes another pot, boil the water, and drop the coffee beans. And so the son is like, I get the cooking part, but I don't see the lesson yet. What are you trying to teach me, Dad? Well, he said, just wait a minute. And he allowed the adversity of that hot water to engulf each one of those items. And in about 30 minutes, father called the son in and said, now take that carrot out and tell me what you see. He says, oh, I see a carrot, but it was very firm and hard when we put it in, but now it's soft and mushy. I said, that's right. What about the next thing? The egg. He said, oh, the egg on the inside, previously it was a little malleable. It was soft, but now it's hard. It's lost its fluidness in the egg. Okay, that's right. Then he says, well, what about these beans? He looks at the beans, and all he notices is that the water has changed color a little bit. And he said, well, not sure what happened there, Dad. And he said, well, I'll tell you. The coffee bean was able to step into this situation that most of us wouldn't want, the hot water part, right? But it was able to transform the whole environment and make it something to drink, something that's palatable. It didn't lose itself. It exuded its nature, its fullness into the situation, into the environment, and made it, if you like coffee like me, you would say better. But that's what we have to do. We have to allow ourselves to be in hot water and change that in situation, change that environment so that we are allowed to make things happen as opposed to letting them happen. Now, sometimes I will admit we have to let them happen. I don't want to get misquoted. You know, sometimes we do have to step out of the way and let God, the divine intelligence of the universe, but that does not negate us doing our part. That does not negate us learning and being resilient. Because see, that coffee bean changed the water. It changed the circumstances it was in. It didn't resist. There's a poem called See It Through by Edgar Just. It says, see it through. If you're up against a trouble, meet it squarely face to face. Set your shoulders, plant your feet. If it's vain to try to dodge it, do the best that you can do. You may fail, but you may conquer. See it through. That's what we have to get a resilient attitude about. Seeing things through, moving through. Do not allow the pain to be something that wraps us up. Allow it to be a catalyst to move us forward, to expand our horizon. If we get that next slide, Ernest Holmes says this: nature will not let us stay in one place too long. And this is what Bill used earlier. She will let us stay just long enough to gather the experience necessary to unfold and advance the soul. Nature demands the change in order that we may advance. That we may advance. Now, this leads us into the three tools or the three lessons of resilience. The first one is you got to have faith. You got to have faith. And of course, when we talk about faith and resilience, we always hear the same story because it's a good story. And it's the story of Job. I was gonna tell Job, but I'm just gonna be straight. It's the story of Job. Now, for those who may have forgotten that story a little bit, Job the devil, if you will, comes to God and says, I'm going to mess with Job here for a little while. Now you going to let me do it? And God said, well, yeah, but you can't cause him harm. You can do all kinds of things, but you can't cause him harm. Causes havoc in Job's life. I mean, just ruin. But Job stays fast. He doesn't give up the faith. He holds on. And then all of the things he's lost after he's gone through the trials and tribulations, God gives him more than he had in the beginning. Because Job had faith that the divine intelligence of the universe has not put us here to suffer, has not put us here to be in fear, has not put us here to not be all that we can be. We have to tap into the divine intelligence. We have to depend on that still small voice in our hearts that says, there's always a way. There's always a helping hand. There's always love to move you through whatever it is you're going through. The question is, are you going to grab hold of that thing unseen? See, that's where the problem of faith comes in. The evidence of things unseen, right? We're in a material world where we have to see it to believe it. But we need to take the reverse. If I believe it, then I'll see it. That's how we need to live. If I believe it, I will see it. Now, the next lesson leads right into the faith, because the faith demands that the second thing we do is be adaptable and flexible. When you look at Job, Job was flexible and adaptable. Threw everything in the book at him. But he moved and allowed things to go by and was able to allow life to unfold on life terms. I'm sure now the weather forecasters, they forecasted snow, but I don't think they forecast that much at my house that I got. They said I would get a little bit and I got a lot, right? But I had to be flexible. I had to be flexible. If I had not been flexible, I would have been still stuck in the snow like I got yesterday. I had my 4-wheel drive and everything, and I was just spinning, scared to death because I couldn't get traction. The car was fishtailing. But when I slowed down, took a deep breath, and slowly applied the gas, because what's the first thing we do? We get stuck, we rev the engine. Tires just spin. That's what happens in life. We get stuck in a problem. We get stuck in a situation, and we want to get out of that thing as soon as possible. So what do? Floor the gas. That's what I did, and I stood there for about 10, 15 minutes trying to figure out how to get out. So eventually I'd sit still, I rocked it, and then I just slowly got out of the snow. It's the same thing with life. Take a deep breath. Slow down. Resilience. We can work through these issues. We can work through them. We do not have to be marred down with it, because life is unpredictable, but we are adaptable. I'm going to say that again. Life is unpredictable, but we are adaptable. We can make the changes. We can be flexible. We can allow life to flow with ease and grace. When we look at this next slide, I think it really puts it in perspective. I now declare that God is on every step of my pathway. Whatever needs to be done is being done now by the actions of the infinite mind. Every problem is now disappearing. I see God everywhere. And where God is, no evil endures. No evil endures. And what we mean by evil is that there are problems, something that's a stumbling block, something that keeps you from realizing your full potential. When we can do that, life is full. Life is worth living, as they say. but we have to allow it to flow. That great sage, Bruce Lee said, be like water, my friend. Be like water, my friend. Adapt to the situation. If they pour you in a small cup, then you fit in the small cup. Pour you in a bigger bowl, then you fit in the bigger bowl. Don't get rigid. Be flexible. And so when we can understand that faith is needed, and we understand that we have to be flexible and adaptable, then we move into one of the hallmarks of our teaching, a positive mindset. A positive mindset. Now, this next slide kind of puts a capsule on it before we go into this mindset thing. And it says, resilience is our capacity to change. It's a positive state that is resourceful, adaptable, and energized. Unlike bouncing back and coping, states that can be quite draining over the long term, or grit that can be rigid and isolating. Resilience is a place of high creativity and flexibility. High creativity and flexibility. So when we embrace this idea of being flexible, I might be dating myself. There was a toy called Weebles. And as the song in the commercial went, it says, Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. That's what we want to be. We want to be little Weebles. You ever see those punching bags you get for the kids, the clowns? You hit them and they go all the way down and bounce back. We want to be like that. We want to be, what was it? The Timex watch. There we go. Takes a licking and keeps on ticking. That's what we want to be in life. When we look at being resilient, when we look at challenges that come our way, how to overcome them. But as was just said, to just thrive. Don't just overcome them. Don't just cope. Don't just be gritting it out. Let's exceed. Let's excel. And the foundation of that is a powerful, powerful, positive mindset. As a man or woman thinketh, so is he or she. The magical part of that, as you continue to think, so shall you remain. So if you're in a situation that you don't like it, and you say you got a positive attitude, but ain't nothing changing, then you need to evaluate that set. You might need a new set. Because if you continue to think that way, it will remain the same. There's a phrase that goes like this. What I am today is the results of thoughts I had yesterday. What I become tomorrow are firmly rooted in what I'm thinking today. So if you want to control your future, if you want to allow yourself to be resilient, transform your thoughts today. Don't wait till tomorrow, because tomorrow might be too late. Tomorrow might be too late. And so when we look at this last slide here, this is from the Bible, James 1, verse 2 through 4. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let us persevere, finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking in anything. Not lacking in anything. So here we get this indication that it's something that we should embrace, adversity. It's something that we should respect, but not fear. Respect, but not fear. And when we can do that, life becomes a playground. Life becomes, I don't know if we have any artists in the audience or online, but life becomes an art store. I'm not going to claim I'm an artist. I play with colors every once in a while. Let me put it that way. And if I go into a store, art store, it's like this kind of brush can do that, and that kind of pencil can do that, and this kind of color can do that. And if I mix this color and that color, I get a whole new color. When we can look at life in that way, that we can step into any moment and look at it as an art store, I mean, we can just go to the proverbial candy store. I mean, everybody know that one. I was trying not to use that one, but we'll use it. Because when you go in the candy store, especially now, they got sugar-free candy. They got candy with nuts. They got dark chocolate. They got, peppermint. They got all kinds of candy to suit your fancy and your needs to get you through whatever it is you're going through. And so when we are able to do that, when we allow this positive mindset to propel us into greatness, resilience is the byproduct, if you will. So if you have faith, deep faith, abiding faith, trusting faith, if you allow that faith that gives you the ability to be flexible and adaptable, and you can create a positive mindset that begins to create a world that works for all, then you've learned the lesson of resilience. And life is worth living. And so may we continue to face each day's resilience with love and hope, knowing that we have the power to make a change. We have the power to flip the script, as they say. The question is, will you do it? Let us pray. Heavenly Father, Mother God, that balanced aspect of life, that way of looking at things from all perspectives, so that we understand that the power, the present, that is the divine, that created this world and all worlds and sustains them with love, is always ready, willing, and able to provide whatever it is we need, to allow us to grow at our own pace, to allow us to learn the lessons we need to become exactly what God has created us to be. Emanations of the Most High God, built with love. Because when we allow ourselves to step into that mindset, in that frame of reference, we begin to understand what life is. And so right here, right now, for each and every one of us here, online, or someone who hears this later, I declare that we are stepping into our power, that we are using our ability to imagine, to create, to tap into the intuition of the universe to move through all challenges that we face. Not as something to go through, but something to grow through. Not as something to downplay or belittle, but something to raise up as a trophy of greatness for me to move forward in my life, for you to move forward in your life. And so it is with that understanding that all life is for the betterment of each and every one of us that I give thanks. And I know that it has not come to stay, it has come to pass. And so I can rest fully in the loving arms of the divine, knowing that all is well and God is good. And so with that, I release this prayer, knowing that we are blessed and exceedingly blessed, that we are moving in the direction of our dreams, and that as we anchor this in our hearts, we will become more than we ever thought we could be. And so I release this, knowing that it is already done, it's activated in our lives, and I know that it is so. And so it is. Amen.